Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you for joining us for another episode of LAB78. My name is Sky, the crazy Korean from Canada who's stuck in Malaysia.
And I'm Elynn, the dancer and the Instagrammer.
See, she doesn't have as cool as a nickname as I do. I'm the crazy Korean from Canada.
Okay.
All right, guys, I hope you guys had an amazing 2 weeks. Another episode, and today we're going to talk about
Bad relationships.
bad relationships, okay? Now, since we're talking about relationships, let me tell you something funny that just happened to me recently, okay? So I got this private message from someone on Instagram, and guess what it said? It says, one night, they want to spend one night with me for 20,000 ringgit.
I get that message too. They
know.
offer me 30K for one night.
Okay, so this is what makes me upset is why do I get 20K and why does she get 30K, right? She got offered 30K for one night, I'm only 20K. So I feel a little bit, I don't know what the word is. I feel not valuable. But it's March.
Yeah.
March is so amazing, especially for us in Canada, because March is like the beginning of spring, all the flowers bloom. It's an amazing time everyone looks forward to because the winter's all like, snow and it's really cold.
But I never experienced spring before.
Okay, so why wouldn't you experience spring?
What?
Why wouldn't you experience spring?
Because Malaysia is only have one season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's kind of, I'm not sure about Malaysia, but do you guys want to have different seasons?
For me, yes.
Yeah, right?
It's something like very cool. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You know why girls like living in countries with more than one season? It's because fashion changes.
Ooh.
So when it gets cold, you get to wear nice jackets, right?
Yeah.
Pants, and then, because in Malaysia, everyone is slippers, shorts, and t-shirts. Like that's the fashion here. You go to a steak restaurant, slippers, shorts, and t-shirts. You go to McDonald's, slippers, shorts, and t-shirts. It's one style here. All right, guys. So let's get into today's show. We're going to talk about bad relationships. And the first subject is, why do people get into bad relationships?
Why?
So we're going to talk about why do people get into bad relationships? Like, bad relationships is like there's no respect.
No responsible.
They cheat on each other.
The lack of trust.
And they could be abusive, whether it's like physical or even mentally, right? So let me ask you, Elynn, why do you think people like get into bad relationships?
They prefer bad relationship rather than being alone.
But isn't that so sad that you'd rather be in a bad relationship than be alone? That's so crazy.
Yes, it's really crazy.
So imagine this. Okay, let's pretend. We're going to pretend we're in a relationship. So ask me why we're in a relationship.
Why are we in a relationship?
Because I feel lonely.
Oh, that's... It's not because of love. It's because I'm lonely.
It's so sad. Why are we together? Because I'm lonely, right? That would be the most terrible reason why people are together. Like, what? Anything else? Why else do you think people get into bad relationship?
Because they don't actually know how much they are worth of.
Oh, like they don't know how much they're worth or their value, right? So give me an example. Like, so then if you don't think you're valuable, then
they
She's crying right now because she's thinking about a bad relationship she's in. Don't worry, guys. Are you okay?
because they don't see much like good stuff in themselves, so they think that bad relationship is what they deserve.
That makes sense. Yeah, so they don't know their value, so they're in a bad relationship because they think they deserve it, or that makes sense. Yeah, that's a really, really good one because I have met some people in my life who are kind of like in that situation. Also, probably one last one. I think another reason why people get into bad relationships is like the other person hasn't done anything wrong. So they just feel bad doing the breakup. You know what I mean? Like they feel bad like telling them, because they didn't do anything. They always treat them well but they know it's not the right relationship, but they just feel bad breaking up with the other person. And I've seen that before too. And I, honestly, I think that's it's kind of hard because the person's so nice and so good, but to break up with them is just like, oh, then you feel like a bad person.
You feel guilty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I've seen that as another reason why people like stay in bad relationships too. All right, so now let's get into signs of a toxic relationship. So, there's a lot of people, even when I go around different universities, they ask me questions about how do you know you're in a toxic relationship? So I'm gonna give you a couple signs. We're gonna talk about a couple signs today of how do you know you're in a toxic relationship. And I'm gonna give you the first one right now. You know you're in a toxic relationship when it becomes, there's a lot of jealousy and a lot of competitiveness, right? So what does it mean, jealousy and competitive? I'll give you an example. Competitive is this. Is if you come and you have a friend, family, or like, some significant other, and you tell them some good news, like, oh, I have 2,000 followers on Instagram, right? If it's healthy, they will celebrate together with you, but if it's unhealthy, there's jealousy and competitiveness, right? So, let me ask Elynn right now. All right, so I'm gonna ask Elynn this question, we'll just watch what happens here. Hey, Elynn. I got 2,000 followers on Instagram.
I got 20,000.
So what happens is jealousy happens where one person, something good happens to them, but then the other person just starts talking about better things. It's like, hey, I got a raise. Yeah, well, I still make 3 times more money than you. And just kind of like, it's like, right? It's almost that feeling like someone farted and you're like, right? And that's one of the reasons is when you see competitiveness or jealousy in the relationship, that's a sign that's a toxic relationship.
And there's one thing is people always take you for granted.
What do you mean by like taking you for granted?
Always take, but no give.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Are you that kind of person?
Yeah, well, maybe I am that person. And I give nothing back. But it's true though. Like if it's in a good relationship, it should be mutual. Like you give as much as you get, right? So that means you never run out because as much energy as you're giving, you get back. And I think another good sign that when she talks about people taking each other for granted, it's like you have meetings, you set a date together, or you're gonna hang out, but they always last minute. They're like, oh no, I can't make it. So they take for granted your time. Right? And like, oh, we're friends, so they'll understand. And that's another sign of a really toxic relationship too. And I'll give you another one. This one's kind of cool. Not cool. This is actually really bad, right? Is controlling behavior. You're always gonna get these texts or these phone calls. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing right now, right? And this is like super controlling behavior and what it causes. And you'll know that you're in a toxic relationship. How do you know? Like you might not think they're like that, but you're in a toxic relationship if you become dishonest. If you're lying to them, they're like, where are you? Oh, I'm at church with my dog, right? And you'll start lying to them, right? Because it's such a toxic relationship. They're trying to control everything that you're doing. So you become dishonest and you actually start to lose other relationships because they're controlling you so much. So, do you have any other signs, do you think? We have any other signs for toxic relationships?
Yes, of course. I feel that feeling left out is one of the signs of that.
Oh, that's right.
And I have an example.
Oh, okay.
During my secondary school, I have 3 best friends plus me 1, 4. And when I started my university times, I spent less time with them. And when they always like invite me to go out, but I always say that I'm busy because of studies, and they started to like the 3 always hang out together without me because I study, of course. So by time more and more you are feeling like, hey, we used to be best friends, now you 3 together. Like I started to feel like depressed, sad, like more and more it become more negative.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's a really good, another good sign that you're in a toxic relationship if they always make you feel left out. Because if you're a really good friends, or good relationship, you should always be, at least communicating and stuff, like what's going on instead of, you hear nothing, and then all of a sudden you see the Instagram tonight, like, hey, they didn't even ask me. Like, see, that's a terrible thing. That's like bad communication. All right. All right. So, like, I want to talk about right now is we're in pandemic time, right? It's lockdown, pandemic, and people are not normal as they should be, right? So, I want to talk about getting into a relationship during the pandemic time. Okay, and this is something that's very interesting because, and the first thing I want to talk about is there is a big difference between guys and girls, and this is what causes a lot of these, problems, misunderstandings, and what makes people make big mistakes and get into relationships, especially during this pandemic time. So let me tell you about this cool study. So let me share with you a study that I saw, I was reading about on the internet, and it's a study, research on boredom. And they did this research with like 3,500 people in Italy in lockdown, and they talked about what are the number one, like the big reasons why they're struggling so much or mentally not stable. And one of the biggest reasons is boredom. And you might think to yourself, boredom? Like, how can boredom be like, what does this mean? Well, here's the thing. When people are very, very bored, especially during extended lockdown, what happens to your mind? What happens is they say that there's a correlation between people who are bored and people who take risks. So what happens is people who are more bored are more likely to break social distancing rules, more likely to have these like social distancing, like they'll have parties and break social distancing, not wear masks, and people who are more bored are more willing to take risks. And part of it I'm going to talk about now is people, because they're bored, they want to take risks, so they start to get into relationships. And it's not because they're in love. It's not because of that. It's because they want to do something new and fresh because they're so bored. And what I'm telling you guys is, a lot of people are going to make mistakes, like big mistakes, getting into a relationship during the pandemic, and it's not because you're like, oh, I like this person so much. No, it's when you're so bored, it doesn't take much to make you excited, right? And this is why a lot of people will make big mistakes getting into a relationship, especially during the pandemic time, okay? So what I'm going to talk about today, it's kind of funny, is the difference between guys and girls. And if girls don't understand guys and guys don't understand girls, super misunderstandings, okay? So I'm going to ask you a question, and this is for girls, okay? As a guy, I'm going to ask a girl, do you guys ever talk, like this may sound funny, but I have a point. Do girls ever talk about how smelly someone's fart is? No, they never talk about it, right? So here's the difference between guys and girls. When a guy farts, do you know what happens? The girls run away, like, ah, and the girls run. But the guys, they wait and they smell first. They do, I'm dead serious. It's like boop, and then the girls are like, ah, girls run away, and all the guys are like, oh, that's nasty, and then they run away, right? So it's really weird. Guys will wait to smell first, and then they'll be like, oh, you're right, that stinks. Oh, that's terrible. But the girls will run away. The guys are a little bit different. We're very experienced. Like, we want the experience, but girls are like, ah, and then they all run away from the fart, okay? Now, here's the thing about guys. I'm going to tell you something that's kind of crazy. You can agree with me or not. Guys are stupid. All right? Now, I'm going to tell you why they're stupid, okay? In this one sense, okay? Guys are very, what you call, goal achieved, like they're goal oriented, task oriented, right? So like when we talk about relationships, they have a goal in mind. There's something they want from the relationship. So what they do is they will say anything to get the goal. Okay, they'll say anything to get the goal, right? So like they'll say stupid things like this. Like imagine we've only met for like 2 months, and then I say something stupid like this: I love you more than my mom. Now tell me, that's the stupidest thing you've ever heard. You've met for 2 months and you already love someone more than your mom? That is a lie, okay? Remember, it's a stupid thing, right? But here's the thing. Guys want to fulfill their goal, so they will do extreme things like, I love you until you die. And the answer is like, what? If they really knew what love was, love is until you die. But they'll say anything extreme to make the girl like feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so special. Guys will do anything and they will say anything to reach a certain goal, especially when it comes to relationships, right? Which means this. I have my second thing I want to say.
What?
Girls are stupid.
Why? Why?
Girls are stupid because they believe what the guy says. It's true, right? Oh, you're the prettiest girl I've ever seen. Liar, right? I love you more than my mom. Liar. I love you forever and ever and ever. Liar.
Do anything for you.
Yes, it's so dumb. Guys are only saying things to fulfill their goal or their task. That's all they're doing. They don't mean it. How many times have you seen it, like a guy, or even like, I'm just saying more guys. They're like, I love you with all my heart. And then like 2 months later, they break up and they find another girl. And they say the exact same thing. Why? Goal-oriented. And what makes it worse right now is that people are so bored, right? And people are in their mental state is in such a bad place. They're even more desperate right now when it comes to relationships. And this is where people make huge mistakes, right? Think about this. Remember that. Boredom, what happens with boredom? It makes you take risks you never would have taken before. Think about that. If you're out of the pandemic context, I bet you there's no way that if you were super bored or whatever, you wouldn't have met that guy. You wouldn't even care.
Because I'm too busy for real.
Yeah, you have your things you need to do. But now we're so bored. What happens?
We find someone to pass the time.
To pass the time, right? And it's because, and this is how funny it is. Ask me like, well, same question. Like pretending we're in a relationship. Ask me why we're together.
Why are we together?
Because I'm bored. That's how crazy it is. And what happens is, how do you know you're in a bad place for a relationship? It's especially if you start to hide stuff.
Like what?
Like you hide relationship from your friends. Like no one knows because everything is on Zoom and everything else, you hide it, right? Because you normally wouldn't do it and you just start hiding things, right? And you know it's not a good place, right? So that's why, you gotta understand, we're in a pandemic right now. This is not normal. And the way we think, the mental state, it is very unusually, not normally lower than what we're expecting. And this is something you have to recognize or else you make huge mistakes. Yeah, but you know, you're busy these days, right? Okay, so you're not meeting any weird guys. Except for the guy who says 30,000, 30K for one night, right? These are the only guys she's meeting. I'm only meeting sugar mamas. 20,000 for one night. You go to mine, I go to yours.
I don't want it.
And we split half.
So come to our last topic of the day is how do we know when to quit a bad relationship?
All right, that's a good question that we should end off with. Is I think the very first thing we have to understand is you need to know why you're in the relationship or what's the purpose of a relationship. Okay, so what do you think? Like friends, whether it's friends, family, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, like husband, wife. What do you think is the purpose of the relationship?
Because you need love.
Because you need love. And honestly, it's not we just need love. It's just love in general, like needing love and giving love, right? And one thing we do have to recognize is people are...
These days are lack of love.
Exactly. People are lacking love. So that's why they look for love. So if you're lacking love and looking for love, sometimes you will go into it for the wrong reason. Why? Because it's pandemic, because we have, boredom, or we're lonely or depressed. These things come in and all of a sudden you lose the purpose. It's supposed to be love, but instead of love, it's I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Instead of love, I'm bored, right? And instead of love, we're going for the wrong reason. And I really hope that people, how do you know when to stop? Is you have to look at the relationship and start thinking to yourself, is this really about love? Is it really about love? Like seriously, does that guy or does that girl really, you're gonna stick to it until the end? Is it worth it? Are you hiding it or whatever it is, right? You really need to think about, oh, is this really for love or is it because I'm bored? Is it because I'm depressed? Is it because I'm mentally unstable? I'm lonely or whatever it is. Right? And once we figure out, oh, this is really for love, then you'll know I'm going to stay with it or it's time for us to quit it. Okay? So that is the end of today's episode of LAB78. I hope you guys had a wonderful and awesome time just having discussion about relationships. And if you're in a toxic relationship or whatnot, I hope you take the good advice here and understand whether it's friends, family, lovers, whatever it is, husband and wife, we really have to think about where the direction of the relationship is going, okay? So that is the end, which means I am the crazy Korean from Canada who's stuck in Malaysia, Sky, and...
I'm the dancer and Instagrammer, Elynn.
We need a new one for you next time.
Write down and comment which one is suitable for me.
Yeah. All right, guys. So if you haven't done it already, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, but most importantly,
like
and
press CC.
It's not just like, you need to comment. Right? Right now, guys, I'm gonna tell you this, the biggest thing for the algorithm right now is liking the videos and commenting. So you know what? Even if you comment, just write your favorite color. Just write your favorite color, I don't care. Just write blue, red, green, whatever it is, and just start liking blue or green or red or white, whatever it is. Just do that, okay? Everyone have an awesome and wonderful time. We'll see you guys again next time. See you later. Bye-bye.